A big win for gun rights at the United States Supreme Court today. And let's stop acting like the socialists are finally in charge. They've always been in charge. They're just now finally using the S word. Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
You have to understand, and I know you do because you're a smart person, the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party. It is the Socialist Party of America. The Democrat in that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. And the Democrats, socialists, communists, whatever you want to call them, Marxists, Leninists, Trotskyites, whatever you want to call them, it's their show now, all right? It's their party. It's their show. And you can try to stop this, but it's like building a sandcastle on a beach. Eventually, the water's going to come in. It's going to knock it down. It's only a matter of time. It is only a matter of time. And how did we get here? We've always been here. I got news for you. Democrat Party's always been the party of socialism. It's always been. There have been exceptions along the road. JFK was not a socialist. Bill Clinton was not a socialist. Otherwise, it has been a party of socialism ever since Woodrow Wilson. I mean, I could go back to the Confederate States of America for you, but I don't want to bore you. But Wilson was the first one who started with. He called it progressivism because he thought that had a nice touch. Socialism was not popular in Europe. So he's like, yeah, we'll call ourselves the progressives. He was a nerdy guy, Princeton University professor and then president and then became governor of New Jersey. And he's an awful human being. And he's the worst. FDR, everybody's talking about, well, we have Social Security. That's socialism. FDR was the guy who gave us all that. You get into LBJ and his nonsense and his Medicare and then all the other stuff he did with his. So LBJ, then you go right up to Barack Obama with universal health care and Obamacare. And he wanted to go further, don't forget. He wanted socialized medicine, but he couldn't go that far. And then Joe Biden runs as this sensible Democrat moderate. And then what does he do on day one? He governs like a far left progressive because that's what his advisors told him needed to be done. And since Biden's brain was jello anyway, he would do whatever he had to do. So fine, if that meant government, day one is executive orders or all far left executive orders. Day one, he started right away showing his true colors. And Joe Biden was not necessarily like that. It's just, I don't think the guy was in charge of his brain. And I think the people around him ran the show and the people around him were all socialists and communists. This has been the Democrat Party forever. This is nothing new. I love how people are acting like this is some sort of a sea change here. This is how the Democrat Party has always been. It has always been the party of socialism for as long as you can find it. And when you've had, along the way, you've had those exceptions, as I've mentioned. JFK, if he were alive today, would be a Republican, 100%. Bill Clinton was whatever he had to be, but to win in Arkansas, he had to be a Democrat. So he was a Democrat. And then since he was a Democrat, he ran for president as a Democrat. But that guy would be whatever he has to be. You know what I mean? He's the most malleable guy in the history of politics, whatever it took to win. If Bill Clinton had lived in a state that wasn't a Democrat state, when he was there, Arkansas was a Democrat state, but it's not anymore. Obviously, it's a Republican state now. So he'd be a Republican. Like if it was now, just jump forward, he'd be a Republican, So whatever he had to do. But beyond that, it has always been this. So as I listen to people talk about, Mamdani now has changed the Democrat Party and the Democrat Party is changing. And blah, 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 blah. No, it was inevitable that the water was going to knock down the kid's sandcastle and inevitable that this guy was going to win the biggest city in America and inevitable that the Democrat Socialists of America were going to be prominent. The only thing that's changed is that now they're openly using the word socialist. That's it. From a policy perspective, what's changed? They want universal health care. They've been talking about that for years. Medicare for all. They've been talking about that for years. Free tuition for colleges. Biden repaid everybody's student loan debt. What's changed exactly other than the fact that they're openly saying the word? That's it. You know what it's like? It's like if people have an open marriage, right? Well, we don't, by the way. But if people have an open marriage and it's like, it's the worst kept secret, you know what I mean? And then like all of a sudden they just start talking about it and they just start hanging pineapples upside down and giving people upside down pineapple cakes. Like, well, it's like, well, we always knew you guys were swingers, but now you're just openly letting everyone know about it. It's the same thing with the Democrats. We always knew you were socialists. Just now you're just telling people. All right, now you're telling people. Like, we decided it's just better to come out than just say it. Or it's like if you have a friend who you always knew was gay and then finally confides in you that he's gay and you're like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, like they're just coming out of the closet now. But their policies have not changed. And what's the only battle that's taking place is a battle of leadership. Because Hakeem Jeffries is a socialist, and so is Zora Mamdani. The entire Democrat Party is, but Mamdani now has the power, and Hakeem Jeffries doesn't. Because Mamdani's candidates won, and Hakeem Jeffries' candidates lost, and that's how politics works. Now, you could argue, but there was a time when there were blue dog Democrats and sensible Democrats and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and what happened? Those people were Democrats because it was a time when the Democrat Party in certain regions of the country was about union jobs. And they would use government influence to affect union jobs. But they were still about using government influence to get jobs. They were still about using the government to prime the levers of the economy. Okay? Stop acting like they were hands off about it. Blue dog Democrats were all about making sure that union people got jobs, and that's why the unions backed them. But it wasn't like they were like laissez-faire economics. There's capitalism and there's socialism. And along those lines, there's various degrees of it. But I know one thing is clear. The Democrat Party has always been the party about giving you stuff, taking money and then giving people stuff with other people's money. That's what they've always been about. The Republican Party? Yeah, you've had Republicans who've been like that in the course of time. But as a whole, when it comes to capitalism, they've been more about capital. Now, there have been Republicans who've been awful on that issue. So none of this is new. Let's stop acting like we're all shocked by this. Oh, inevitably, a Mamdani was going to come along. Of course, absolutely. It was only a matter of time. But let's play a clip of one of the women who won. Okay, Dorilzia Avilia Chevalier, whatever her name is, Chevalier, on MSNow. Okay, in one of your tweets, you called Joe Biden this word. Do you stand by this?
The Joe Biden one, you did say you called him a rapist. Is that the kind of thing that just because you're sort of a digital native and that you do on the internet, or did you believe that, and do you believe that?
You know, I think there was a lot of misunderstandings around where my posts, why they were deleted. I deleted my account many years back because I was focused on returning to organizing and my studies. I was working on a PhD program. And I think often we're asked to really have accountability for folks who have not held political office or have political power, and don't do the same for folks who are in positions of political power. Now, all that to say, I do regret my tweets, and that's something that I think has brought a lot of division, and that's something I regret, because as an organizer, my goal is always to unify our community and deliver for our community. And I think there is this question of why is it that when folks who do not have power, political power in this instance, are being held accountable for things, we don't also hold accountable folks who do have political power, where the decisions they are making in office
oh my God, would you answer the friggin' question
on millions of people in our country, right? And I think for folks who feel disempowered, it's
okay. I can't take it. There's only so much salad I can get tossed my way every day by these people. Do you regret calling him a rapist? Yes or no? Bottom line, no, because she's crazy. She's crazy. You know, she's been in college now 7 years. This is her 7th year now working on her PhD program at the Community College of New York City. She's one of these perpetual people that just constantly in school. Like working, always getting a master's, a PhD, whatever it is, always. You know these people. They're never in the real world. They never work. There's constantly in education, higher education. They have lots of titles and degrees after their names. And I don't mean medical doctors. I mean all the people that have the fancy like academia credentials after them. And they don't work, you know what I mean? And then eventually they get high-paying gigs as professors, very high-paying gigs as professors. That's usually what happens. But let's listen to her now, 7 years in her PhD program. Let's listen to this now, Democrat socialist kook, talk about how she struggles with affordability.
I am someone who has felt deeply abandoned by the establishment politics that far too often see my community as merely a statistic, that far too often only shows up to explain away the circumstances that the politics that they have voted for time and time again, which have impacted our community in ways that they do not feel the effects of. And as someone who has had to live with the question of whether I can even afford to stay in the city I love.
I mean, 7 years of grad school, right? 7 years in your PhD program. You can't work a side hustle? Can't do a side gig? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not taking her full focus, obviously, right? Like, she has to have other time for other things. 7 years?
7 years in a PhD program. Lots of people go to school for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
Say, you and I know one. He's a doctor and a lawyer.
Yeah. 7 years to get a PhD in whatever the hell her PhD is in, by the way. But it was inevitable you were going to get here. The only question is, how quickly now will the Democrats drop the facade and start using the S word openly? Okay? How quickly will they do it? Just like when Woodrow Wilson had to grapple with the unpopularity of socialism and then he called it progressivism, the Democrats have been trying that crap in this country ever since. So for years you heard, who's the real progressive and this person's progressive. And then Bernie Sanders comes along and he's like, I'm a socialist. And they were like, you get back there, you stay away. And everybody thought it was because the Democrat Party wanted Bernie to stay away because he was openly using the S word. And they were like, shh, you don't say the S word out loud, okay? Don't say it. No, the reason why they put Bernie in a corner, and nobody puts Bernie in a corner, because they couldn't control him when it came to war, all right? They couldn't control him. He wasn't going to give them wars, and Hillary Clinton would. That's the bottom line. That's why they blocked him in 2016. It wasn't because he was using the S word. They weren't happy about it, but they were fine with it. No, they stopped him because Hillary Clinton was the warmonger, and he wasn't. That's why they stopped him. And I want to set the record straight on that because some people try to reinvent history and they're like, well, you know, the adults in the room back then knew that a socialist was not a good idea. Please, all their policies were socialist policies. What the hell do you think Obamacare is? What do you think the idea that Obamacare didn't go far enough, we need to have universal health care or Medicare for all, whatever their other terms are, socialized medicine, that's what they want, that's what they wanted. That's what they all wanted. But Hillary would drop bombs on any country. Hillary would start World War III, and they knew that. So they were like, she's our girl. Military-industrial complex for the win. That's the only reason why Bernie didn't get the nomination. But now we're going to pretend like suddenly like socialism's like a new thing, like it just caught on. Like, woohoo, like, wow, the Democrat Party has finally just figured out this socialism thing and how hip and cool it is with all the kids. Like, it's been going on for 100 years. 100 plus years, ever since Woodrow Wilson. And before him too, but I'm not going to get into that on this show, but we'll just take Wilson to start. He was the guy that started it. And the Democrat Party, when you're invoking FDR, it proves the point that I've made to you over and over and over again. The party's never flipped, okay? That's a lie. That the Democrat and Republican Party flipped. It's not, no. Geographically, people moved. That changed, which then changed voting patterns. But the parties have always been consistent. And I'll prove it to you. Here's Sonny Hostin talking about how the socialists are a force to be reckoned with.
I disagree with that. You know, I think that New York is the nation's cultural and political capital, and that's just a fact. And I think the Democratic Socialists of America is a force to be reckoned with at this point.
Yes.
I really do believe that. You mentioned these other candidates that won, but you didn't mention Brad Lander, who ran on basically a Democratic Socialist platform. He ran on building more affordable housing, protecting reproductive rights, the fight to protect and stand up for the LGBTQ plus community, Medicare for all.
Who did he unseat, though? Who did he beat?
He beat another Democrat.
He beat Dan Goldman, who led the impeachment against Donald Trump.
Yes, but
you took out a sitting progressive liberal who was a liberal hero 2 years ago. But because he believes in Israel's right to exist, he lost his seat.
But because perhaps it's time for change. Perhaps it's time for change. The Democratic Party, for a very long time, has been searching for an identity. And I see a great parallel between, to your point about the right, I see a great parallel between the rise of the Tea Party in 2009 as a rebuttal, basically, to President Obama's policies and the financial crisis, and the Democratic Socialists of America's rise in 2016 in reaction to Donald Trump, in reaction to health care, in reaction to the loss of health care.
Okay, let's unpack that first of all. Number one, it was later in the clip, and when Joy Reid brings up Social Security, which was something that we got from FDR. So that's the point that I was trying to make. But let's just unpack Sonny Hostin's point there on this and comparing it to the Tea Party. There's no doubt that Democrats are angry at their party leadership for sticking them with Hillary Clinton, who lost, for sticking them with Joe Biden, who lost, and for sticking them with Kamala Harris, who lost. No doubt about it. There is no doubt that the kids today are all openly saying the S word out loud. But all those policies that she mentioned, Dan Goldman believed in all those things. Dan Goldman lost because of his stance on Israel. Yeah. The only thing the Democrat Party is facing a reckoning over is its position on Israel and the fact that there's so much anti-Semitic thinking within the party. Different from a policy on America's stance towards Israel. That is different. The only thing that's different. Okay, let's understand this. There are two things. Category A, all the crazy socialist kooky positions, Dan Goldman checked all those boxes. But Israel, they don't want it. They don't want it. And you could debate, should the U.S. be giving Israel funding? Should the U.S. be involved in wars in the Middle East? Should the U.S. be siding with Israel? You can have all those debates. These are people that believe Israel is causing genocide. And these are people that believe that Israel needs to atone for that. Netanyahu needs to go to jail. And that's why Dan Goldman lost. It wasn't because he was some moderate blue dog Democrat from the 19s. Like, stop it. Stop. But we're going to pretend like that's not what's really happening here. I'm telling you right now what's really happening. Democrat Party's always been socialist. They're just grappling with the fact now that the anti-Semites are allowed to come out and be so vocal and just be outright with their hatred of Jews. And that's why the guy they nominated for Senate in Michigan, that El Sayed guy, is their nominee for Senate. These are not policy distinctions about U.S. foreign policy. This is a deep hatred of Israel. And it's coming front and center. I mean, you could have a debate on Israel's role in the Middle East and the United States' role with Israel. I mean, all those things are fair game. Fair game. We should have those policy questions, but that's different. And I think we all know that. I think we're all intelligent enough to know that, right? That's the big story of the hour, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. 2 locations to serve you, Cinnaminson and Woodbury, veneriadental.com. By the way, just as a programming note, there will be an audio podcast tomorrow. Special guest, Dr. Wilford Riley, by the way. And then next week I'm off. I have to take a little more time off because of the healing, and I've been just, going at it. I was supposed to take 4 weeks to recover after my open heart surgery, and I didn't do that. I only did 2, and I need to just take a few days off, and I figured around the 4th of July was a good time to do it. So just a heads up on that. I'll miss you and you'll miss me, but you'll probably also see me, here and there, wherever. But I want to put up an article for you, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly the point that I'm making here when it comes to all this. And it's from the Wall Street Journal. Mamdani's sweep in New York City adds to strains between the Jews and the Democratic Party. Candidates highly critical of Israel won big in New York City primary. It's not about being highly critical of Israel. That's different. You can be highly critical of Israel and have a policy discussion. Okay? That's not what I'm talking about. And I don't want to sugarcoat this for you. These are people that hate Israel and don't think Israel should even exist. Like, I don't want America involved in foreign wars. I don't want America. Like, I've not been, a cheerleader for this Iran thing, obviously, as you know. But these are people that don't believe Israel should exist. Like, that Israel's in occupied land. That Israel was only established by white, and they're white people, and it's basically a gigantic colonization of the Middle East. That's how these people view it. That's very different. What unsettled them was the scale of victory by a trio of left-wing candidates who were endorsed by Mayor Zora Mamdani and who had made criticism of Israel the emotional core of their campaigns. You notice they didn't say they made socialist policies the core of their campaigns, because all these Democrats running were freaking socialists. Maybe they weren't using the S word, but they were all believers of the policies and the philosophies. This is not a debate about moderate versus socialist. Socialists won a long time ago. Got news for you. This is just a group called the Democratic Socialists of America who have a very, very anti-Israel streak that runs through their party. That is the difference. Democrat socialist Avilia Xavier attended a pro-Palestine rally in Times Square a day after the October 7th attack on Israel. Fellow Democrats denounced the rally as condoning Hamas's massacre. Yet she still managed to overtake incumbent Adriano Espaillat in New York's 135th congressional or 13th congressional district, which includes Upper Manhattan and parts of the Bronx. Rachel Levine, a member of the Village Independent Democrat Political Club, I don't believe anything to do with the dude who was the HHS secretary anyway, was astonished. This is about hating Jews. I feel like we have a problem within the Jewish community of not understanding how serious this is. At this point, Israel is a beard for anti-Semitism. That's what a Democrat said. New York City boasts the largest Jewish community outside Israel and stands as a metropolis where generations of Jews have thrived while leaving an indelible cultural mark. Yet Tuesday's results, after campaigns that dwelled on Israel and, in the view of some, deployed anti-Semitic tropes, have scrambled their relationship to the city while exposing fractures within their own community. Quote, "We survived intermarriage, but I don't think we're going to survive this," said Lisa Silverstein Nelson, an ordained rabbi from Brooklyn's Park Slope neighborhood. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. The results also reverberated in Washington, D.C., among high-ranking Democrats battling over the party's future. Nobody would have expected that this would be the dividing line in a race for Congress, said Jamie Raskin, a progressive Jewish lawmaker. Raskin is a progressive. Progressive is socialist. It's the same thing, okay? I told you that. Start of the show. But he's Jewish, and he says the progressive part of the Democrat Party is very much on the move. He is a progressive, but he's Jewish, and they don't want him around. That's the bottom line. Look, you go through this whole thing in this whole article. It's very long. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, obviously, but the bottom line is this. This new movement right now is showing you where the Democrat Party's heart and soul is, and it's an anti-Israel heart and soul. That's the only change. That's the only change. And maybe this will mean that if you're a capitalist, you have to finally, once and for all, leave the Democrat Party. Really, seriously. If you're a capitalist, you have to leave the Democrat Party. Because it's always been about socialism, and that's now finally been exposed. So the secret's out. They've come out of the closet about it. So you have no business being there. And if you believe that Israel has a right to exist, you probably should leave the Democrat Party. Because now they're saying the quiet part out loud regarding all that. Oh, but let's pretend, though. Let's pretend like this is really just about a momentum of socialist groups. So here's Van Jones on the New York primary results, that this is some sort of anti-establishment move. It's a little more complicated than that, Van.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party. And you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both, it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency. And they're going head to head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats. Well,
look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that, look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
Let me translate that for you. Ready? The people that were in power who had socialist ideas are being replaced by other people in power who have socialist ideas. The difference is these people in power with socialist ideas hate Israel. That's the difference. That's it. Otherwise, it's the same old thing. It's the same Democrat Party that believes in universal health care, Medicare for all. And yeah, Mamdani wants more free things than most Democrats do. But Democrats want free college. Democrats want free housing for people that can't afford it. I mean, they've been advocating these policies for years. Affordable housing, free college, universal pre-K. I mean, the guy who was the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, his royal rugness, he was advocating for universal health care universal pre-K starting at 3 years old. Age 3. Okay? That's a socialist position. Number one, it gets your kids indoctrinated into public schools so that they're able to fulfill Marx's vision of having the kids learn early, whatever it is their mind gets influenced on. I was listening to Taylor Sheridan was on with Rogan on his podcast, and he was talking about ADHD being a superpower. And they were talking about schools and how boring schools are for a lot of these kids who have ADHD, and it's very hard for them to concentrate. And they also talked about how you're able to convince kids of anything, basically, because of the fact that when they're young, you can, whatever it is, what climate change, pride, religion, whatever it is, you can manipulate their minds. And it reminded me of when I read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. He championed, remember, he wrote this in the 1800s, championed free universal public education for all children. And he wanted that because he said that it would be the best way that you could push the philosophy of communism on the children at an early age. So that was one of the things that he did. And you're seeing the results of that. But all of these positions, these policy positions, have been mainstream Democrat policy positions. Universal health care, universal child care, all the other things. Like, the only difference with Mamdani is that he came out and said he would do free buses. And state-run grocery stores, Democrats have pushed those for years. They've had them all over the country in various places. They've all failed. Just like $15 minimum wage failed, $25 minimum wage failed. But let's understand, it's all about the state controlling the means of production, and it's all about the government getting involved in the economy at every single level. And now, a bunch of people that hate Israel, who also believe in all those things. So if you get nothing from today's show, understand this. Same old socialists, just now using the S word openly, and they hate Israel. That's it. That's the only thing that's changing here. And the power guard is shifting because now the anti-Israel group who proudly throws the word socialist around instead of just advocating the socialist policies are winning. A lot. All over the place. And it's causing Joe Scarborough a little bit of agita.
64 days a year. Today, they will act like, and I hope you don't act like, New York City is the center of the world, because it's a big country out there.
You know what? There's what's called badge branding. You sell Chevrolets and you use Corvette to kind of sell the whole thing. And my concern, this is from a branding point of view, not a reality point of view, is that you now have the ability, I'm not talking about Fox News, I'm talking about if the Republicans are running against Democrats, no matter who the Democrat is, they say the Democratic Party stands for this. The Democratic Party stands for what these principles
stand for. Can I ask you this? How many points did Mikey Sherrill win by when we heard she was going to lose?
But now you have, this is
hold on a second. How many points did Abigail Spanberger win in Virginia, despite being told, the Democrats are all socialists, they're all left wing? It's the same exact thing, Donnie.
There's new news now. You have a real wave happening. Joe, I think the Democratic Party, and you've got now 2 Democratic Socialists, is taking on an overall persona. This is where the energy is in the party. You and I can agree to disagree on this. I believe the Democratic Party overall is going too hard left. I believe there is anti-Semitism in there. We'll save that for another day. But I believe this is a branding issue for the Democrats that they are going to have to answer for. So we'll agree to disagree on this one.
It's obviously a challenge. It's obviously.
By the way, let me just jump in here and say Spanberger's not a moderate, nor is Mikey Sherrill. Okay, that was an act. They ran like they were moderates. It was an act. It was not real. It was smoke and mirrors. Okay. Please subscribe, by the way. And let me tell you about my friends at Tri-County Auto. Tri-County Auto, they are fantastic, and they have some great specials right now going on for you this June. I'll be driving my Jeep, taking the top off, and enjoying the open road as we celebrate America's 250th. 250. Summer's heating up, and so are the deals at Tri-County Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Right now, secure 0% financing for 60 months on a new 2026 Ram 1500, or drive away in a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. Now it's 0% financing. And they have 0% financing available on over 125 different vehicles. They have the perfect car for a road trip or just for cruising around. And I love the people over there. We also recently bought a beautiful Toyota Sienna minivan. Love it. I love how it's just the perfect family car, and it's made in America because Toyota made a massive investment in the USA. So that's what you should do. Go see Tri-County. Are you a loyal person? Yes, you are. So support our official car sponsor of the show and the podcast, Tri-County Auto. Plus, they stand with our veterans. It's how I met Brian and Cheryl Krieger through the Travis Manion Foundation, because they wrote generous checks. Tricounty.com, Tricounty.com. Great people over there at Tri-County Auto. All right, so we understand it's the same old socialists. It's just now they're just openly being open about it, and anti-Semitism, and they hate Israel. That's it. That's the only difference. That's the only difference right there. And because power changes in politics, now you're really, really worried about Hakeem. I mean, I'm not worried about Hakeem Jeffries. I could care less. But is Hakeem Jeffries going to be toast? You're damn right he is. The squad's been in charge for a while now anyway. So, yeah, he's toast. And he looked very nervous when they caught up with him in the hallways.
About the results in New York last night. You said Mamdani was not the future of the party. Do you regret those statements?
I think the future of the party is diverse, and it's anchored in the fact that we've got candidates all across the country who are running to take back control of the House of Representatives so we can end the national nightmare that's taken place. Mayor Mamdani has been off to a great start as mayor. We have a good working relationship, and that will continue moving forward.
The NRCC dropped off flowers at your office this morning and condolences for the candidates that you endorsed that lost. Do you have any reaction to that?
The thing is that the NRCC and Republicans spent millions of dollars trying to pick Mike Lawler's opponent, and they failed miserably. And Kate Conley, who's now the Democratic nominee, is going to take Mike Lawler out in November, and we're going to take back control of the House of Representatives.
And then finally, do you have any comment? Are you concerned at all about a primary challenge in 2 years from a Mamdani endorsed candidate?
When you ask me a serious question, I'll give you a serious answer.
Why do you think the Mamdani endorsed candidates won?
That's a good question. And every race is going to be judged on its own merits. And, I'm sure that there'll be an assessment of what happened in the Goldman race and what happened in the Espaillat race, but I'm thankful for the service of those two individuals.
Why don't you just say, because the Democrat Party hates Jews and they stood with Israel? Why don't you just say that and say we got a real problem here in our ranks? I mean, we all agree economically on the same socialist crap. The only thing extreme about these candidates is their position on Israel. It's that they don't believe Israel has a right to exist. They're anti-Semitic. They're openly anti-Semitic. That's it. Otherwise, they're all on board with the same old socialist policies of universal everything. Listen to Graham Plattner. I mean, dude, they nominated a guy with a Nazi tattoo, and he's for universal everything, and he's a socialist. It's like, explain to me what's different about this. What am I missing here? I'm not missing anything. I'm all over this. Dan Goldman, by the way, who was as progressive socialist as the rest of them, but believed that Israel has a right to exist and defend itself, couldn't get a cup of coffee at a coffee shop in Park Slope, Brooklyn. You probably have heard about this. But I think it really underscores the central point that I'm making on the show today. Democrat Party has always been the party of socialism. The difference now is that they're openly using the word, and they're openly now, they have these like Jew-hating socialists who are now winning in these races. So like, that's the only extreme thing about it. Otherwise, it's the same old, same old. This guy couldn't even get a cup of coffee. This guy's a progressive socialist kook, but he supports Israel, so he couldn't get a cup of coffee, cut 6.
I was just so startled and surprised because I had had such a nice interaction with the barista who clearly came from a different background than me, but it was almost refreshing and a reminder of what this city is all about when it happened, and then to be on the receiving end of that was really startling. And so, you know, I don't know what impact it will have on the election, if any, but I do think it's a reflection, unfortunately, of the sad state of affairs we are in, that this degree of anger and vitriol and hate is being normalized by some, and that it just simply is not okay. And it's not just me, it's not just Jews. Everybody needs to stand up against this kind of hate. And if we are going to be a democracy with equal rights, then we have to make sure we apply those values to everyone.
Guy couldn't get a cup of coffee. So they asked Mamdani about it. They asked the mayor about it. Mayor of New York City. And you would think he would condemn this, right? Like if any place of business, and look, every place of business has a right to serve who they want or who they don't want. I've always believed that. But I mean, think of the outrage typically you get on the left if somebody wouldn't bake a cake for somebody's transgender coming out party. You know what I mean? You remember the whole gay cake thing in Colorado? I went out there for that. The whole Supreme Court case around that. They were like losing their freaking minds over the fact guy wouldn't bake a gay cake. First of all, cakes can't be gay, but you know what I mean, for a wedding. So, but you can refuse somebody's service because of their support of Israel. Think about that. That typically would be the kind of thing, like if you said, well, I'm not serving you coffee because you believe in marriage equality. Like Mamdani would hold a press conference, he'd be screaming about that. And you'd be getting involved in passing laws to protect people, and they'd be finding the coffee shop and everything else. So they ask him about it. This is what he says.
Attack them a little, I don't think we've seen from Claire. So were you surprised to see that at all?
I think I'll always be surprised when people want to engage in anti-Black and anti-Haitian racism as a closing argument in a race. I think we've seen from a number of people over the course of this race an attempt to paint Daria Lisa's belief in human rights as if it is somehow worthy of trying to take identities of pride and make them into slurs. And that's something that we reject here in our city. And I appreciate that there are a number who have come forward to say the same. I just saw that Attorney General James spoke up about the racism that Daria Lisa is facing. And I think it's something that all of us should reject. There are going to be a wide variety of views across our city when it comes to these elections. I don't begrudge any New Yorker on their disagreements on policies or endorsements, but trying to engage in racism as a political argument is something that we should never accept, no matter what stage of the election.
Do you think it's weird that Brad hasn't endorsed the rest of your slate?
I think Brad's focus should be on his race, and I have been incredibly excited to support every candidate that has been running, and also to speak up for New Yorkers and our vision of the fact that we deserve to have a city every New Yorker can afford. You know, the Assemblywoman Sufran Forrest often says, closed mouths don't get fed, and it's time for New Yorkers to demand what they deserve, and these are congresspeople who will be there on the front lines of delivering it. Thank you, guys.
I don't know. Did he even answer the question there? I'm not even sure.
Wait, are there not follow-up? Like, that's the second clip we played, by the way, of a Mamdani supported person. They said to the woman, Chevalier or whatever, like, do you support what you had tweeted that Joe Biden is a rapist? And she was like, college is hard. And they were like, okay, let's just move on. Hey, Mamdani, do you think that you should not get a cup of coffee because you're a Jew and you don't use the genocide word? And he was like, yeah, I mean, racism sucks, right? Next question. I was like, what? Like, there's no follow-up. There's no, like, we asked you a question. You literally answered some other effing question. I don't even know what question you answered. There's no follow-up. It's just move
went on a tangent.
Move on. It's crazy.
Yeah. He just went on a tangent about something.
He talked about brown people. It was like, what are you talking about?
Do you think they should have served the guy a cup of coffee? I think the biggest problem is when you wash your clothes in cold water, they don't always get dry. Like they don't always get clean. A lot of times you got to wash them. More detergent is necessary. Sometimes you got to wash them on a longer cycle, and sometimes you got to wash it again, and you got to rinse and repeat.
Mayor Mamdani, how do you feel about him not getting a cup of coffee? He's like, yeah, I know. When you have the umbrella, your feet and your ankles, they still get wet. It's a terrible system. Next question.
You got to do the oil change, and when you change your oil, then you have to. I mean, who wants that?
By the way, he's like, next question. All of the press corps that is there to ask him questions, they were like, okay, yeah, next question. Like, yeah. What?
Really amazing. I mean, just remarkable. We don't have to hold anyone accountable to answer questions. I adore it. By the way, let me tell you about Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. He's a great guy. Bridget was there yesterday, as a matter of fact, and she took Reagan and Claire for their checkups. And I don't even know how the checkups went, as a matter of fact, because I forgot to ask. I was doing Kale and Company this morning. I didn't have a chance to chat with my girls before they went to their little summer camp, so I got to find out. But I know that Dr. Mike would take great care of them because we've been going to them for years. I mean, he's our family dentist. So we gave Bridget a beautiful smile upgrade last year when her caps needed to be replaced, veneers needed to be replaced with beautiful caps. And of course, Mama Zeoli discovered him for our family. You will get a free implant consultation. So all you got to do is just go see him for a consultation. And then in addition to that, if you need any complex dental work, he's the man. And you should know that other doctors and dentists send their patients to Dr. Mike Veneria for the really complex stuff that you just simply can't get at other dentists. So I want you to make sure that you reach out to him today by going to veneriadental.com. veneriadental.com, okay? VANARIA, veneriadental.com. 2 locations to serve you, Cinnaminson and Woodbury, New Jersey. A great guy, great friend of the show. You'll love the people in the office. You'll love the music it's playing, and you'll have fun. By the way, speaking of my kids, I'm taking Patrick to the World Cup game today, so we're doing that because I need to have my head examined. I don't know what the hell I was thinking with this. I really don't.
I mean, you're such a sports guy.
I don't know what I was thinking.
You're such a fan of all competition sporting events.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know the first thing about soccer. I don't know, but my son's all into it.
Ball in net equals score. You're good.
Ball in net equals goal. Goal, right?
Goal, exactly.
Yeah. I'm really excited for the crowds and the chaos.
It's going to be fantastic. I didn't end up with anything. It's going to be fantastic, though. He's going to love it. You're going to love it. He might be a soccer. He played. Didn't he play soccer?
Yeah, he plays soccer.
Maybe he can explain it to you.
Ball winning goal. That's a goal, Dad. See, everybody's yelling goal. That means goal.
I do. Can I stick up for 2 things in soccer that I like?
Yeah.
Well, one they ruined. The World Cup is now taking a break halfway through. They're calling it a hydration break, which is code for commercials. But typically, they just play for 50 minutes. There's no stops. There's no commercial breaks. There's no it's just you just sit and watch. You know, like you go to all these other sporting events and people are just like standing around waiting for the TV timeout for like the TV station to come. They're usually this World Cup, they just introduced it and it bothers some people. But I love that you can just sit and watch 45 minutes, 20-minute break, 45 minutes. Maybe there's no, winner at the end of it, but I just want to see people play the game. Like a football game is like 5 minutes of action with just stop and stop and stop. It's starting to really bother me. So enjoy that part.
There better be alcohol there at the link.
Did you see they sold out, but did you see the Coors Goal can?
No.
It was 3 tall boys and it says goal all along it. But first of all, I don't know how you drink it without it getting hot by the end, but it was it's literally like 3 tall boys. See if they've got them. Let me know.
They said that if you are a foreigner, you have to show your passport to buy alcohol. But how do they know that? I mean, half the people that go to the link anyway can't speak English. So like, how would they know? You know what I mean?
So no, regular. I'm a regular. It's fine. It's fine. Wait, by the way, is that like, so this kid is 19. He can buy alcohol in his own country at 16. And we're going to be like, whoa, buddy. 21 over here. There'd be
That's
a lot
right.
of disappointed tweens coming from Germany.
That's what I'm wondering, though. I'm wondering, are they allowed to drink if they show their passport?
Well, no, because
if they're under 21.
That'd be crazy to me, because
I think it would be crazy, too.
Yeah, that's not the law of the Commonwealth that you're in, right?
Right. I mean, I don't think the laws travel with you, but then again, they've made so many weird exceptions to this to make this World Cup happen. I don't know. Maybe that was one of the ones that they just demanded. Who the hell knows?
But if you told me that they did a thing where the stadium was a carve out from under 21 or something, I'd believe you. They did so much of that stuff.
And if we had thought about this in advance, we would have researched it and prepared properly, but I'll let you know later.
We'll inform the audience tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat station for the answer to that question. In the meantime, though, there's Secretary Duffy was speaking at the Great American State Fair, which kicked off yesterday in Washington, D.C., and he had this to say.
Okay, to start this off, I think we have to give a big round of applause for our military band and singers. Way better than those libtards that canceled on us. So much better. Thank you, guys.
That's not right, Mr. Secretary. It's not right. You can't say that. You can't say they canceled on you. You can't use the word canceled. Schedule change.
I love him and his 900 children all.
They're all going, libtards, libtards, libtards.
They take up the whole stage. Look at it's just like look at this. Look at that family. It's crazy.
The whole family's up there. They're driving the minivan. Dad, watch out! There's a libtard. Whoa, swerve! Oh man. Let's see. And then the president, he I don't know, he was going on a rant about some buddy of his who chokes, and I don't know, this clip I just love. Cut to.
Look at these guys. What love? A friend of mine is a very big real estate developer, but he's got a problem with speaking in front of crowds. He chokes, he chokes like a dog. He said, how do you do it? I say, it's easy, because there's so much love in the room. There's so much unbelievable love. It's easy to do, No, he's got this tremendous fear of speaking. He said, the guy's a major player. Most of you have heard of him. And he's a killer. He destroys people for a living, financially, not physically, financially. Physically, he can barely walk. He's a basket case. But he's up here. He's very smart. And he destroys people. He's very rich. But he can't get up in front of a crowd and talk. I said, what's wrong with you? He said, I don't know. I have a fear of crowds. Do you believe it?
Send him my way, Mr. President. I'll help him out.
Rich,
all right.
21 if you're at a U.S. game. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. Sorry, everybody. 19 if you're in Canada, 18 if you're in Mexico. So if all these German kids really wanted to drink, they would have just, go to the Guadalajara game or whatever.
Oh, so it's not. So they've not changed the age at the stadium.
It's 21 passport, I guess.
All right.
But yeah, 21 U.S., 19 Canada, 18 Mexico. Go get it.
Thank you for checking on that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I didn't want to make everybody have to wait 24 hours to figure that out.
Should have Googled a little before the show.
Just like one of those things that just comes to my mind, and I'm like, just, stream of consciousness, of course.
Also, everybody who's listening, and watching, no matter what you think I have to prepare for, Rich is going to find some crazy thing to ask me about that I'm absolutely no way ready for. Whether it's 80s movie trivia, or what is the age you can drink at the World Cup game in South Philly? It's like, I don't know, man. There's no way to prep for the show. Just hold on and hope you were well read.
Lighten up, Francis. You saw that though, right?
Yeah.
And you know where that's from?
That one's Stripes.
Stripes.
Yeah,
good.
Right.
Because you see the reporter. When Fetterman, they were asking Fetterman about Larry David's point about the UFC, and he's like, lighten up. I would tell him, lighten up, Francis. And the guy's like, what if lighten up, Francis? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean, Francis?
I get that one. Sometimes I think it's Animal House. But yeah. Animal House strikes.
But it's like lighten up Francis is something everybody knows.
Everybody says it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
isn't there even I think, yeah, go ahead.
Do you think a reporter is up on his Bill Murray movie trivia?
No, some snotty millennial, right?
Okay. Well, I don't know why we're hitting on millennials. They're working class people who are just trying to survive. But no,
it's snotty Gen Zers. That's what it is. Snotty Gen Zers.
But not even that. It's more just like even if they were a Gen Xer, like I doubt that the people that desire to work for Politico were watching the same Friday night movies that you and I were.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But I'm glad you defended them.
I'm here.
So it's good. It's very good. Let me tell you about the Supreme Court and what they did today. And it was a big win for the Second Amendment. We are waiting a whole bunch of Supreme Court opinions, but just so you know, today they struck down a Hawaii law that makes it a crime for gun owners to bring their guns onto private property that is open to the public unless they have the property owner's specific consent. So basically, what Hawaii said was like a lot of these blue states, after the New York case, when it was the New York Pistol Club case, when the state of New York was shot down, and the Supreme Court said, you are purposely trying to make concealed carry too difficult, and they ruled it unconstitutional. Blue states started passing all these wacky different laws to make it impossible, basically, for you to carry your gun outside of your home. They started having all these bans. Like you can't carry it at a park, you can't carry it at a library, you can't carry it at this place and that place. And anyway, and as those laws are challenged, they keep getting struck down, because what the attempt here is by these blue states is to essentially undermine the Supreme Court's opinion in the New York State case from years ago. They're trying to find workarounds around it. It was a 2023 case called the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen. In that, the court invalidated a New York handgun licensing law that required state residents who wanted to carry a handgun in public to show that they had a special need to defend themselves. New Jersey had the same thing. The court also made clear that the Second Amendment protects a broad right to carry a handgun outside the home for self-defense. In the opinion for the majority, Justice Clarence Thomas emphasized that courts should uphold gun restrictions only if they are consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. And so then what happened is states started turning around, passing all of these laws to try to undermine the Supreme Court. So every time you hear that, you know, Trump's a fascist and he has no respect for the rule of law, blah, blah, blah. But then you watch as blue states go, well, we don't like that court decision. So now we're going to pass a law that basically undermines that Supreme Court decision. And that's what they did here in Maui. 3 Maui residents with concealed carry permits went to federal court to challenge this law in Hawaii, which said basically like this. You have a gun on you. You cannot go onto private property that is open to the public unless you have the property owner's specific consent. So how are you going to get that, by the way? How does that even work? It's cumbersome. It's so you just wind up saying, I'll just leave my gun home and I'm not going to, because I don't know if I don't know if the smoothie king there would want me carrying my gun inside or not. I don't know. Now, they may have a ban, they may have a sign. You see this sometimes, you know, no firearms allowed on our property. Well, I mean, okay, I wouldn't want to go to that place then, knowing that the only people then who would bring firearms on the property would be people looking to kill people. And you're not, and you've told law-abiding citizens with guns, you're not welcome here. So then you got to just wait for the cops to show up if the guy starts firing. So I tend to avoid places that openly put that on their door. I think it's stupid. You know, movie theaters that do that and other places, like it's dumb. Like you're just telling psychos that nobody in the place is armed. Like that's stupid. But anyway, Walford v. Lopez voted 6-3. The justices agreed with a group of Maui residents with concealed carry permits that the law violates the Second Amendment's guarantee of the right to bear arms. Thursday's decision will have an impact not only in Hawaii, but in 4 other states, California, Maryland, New York, and New Jersey, who all have similar laws. In his 24-page opinion for the court, Justice Samuel Alito wrote that the law, quote, hobbles what the Second Amendment protects, the right of Americans to carry arms for self-defense as they go about their daily lives. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who dissented, countered that the law fairly applies the first principle of property law, the right to exclude, and does no harm to the Second Amendment. Hawaii passed the law in 2023, just under 1 year after the Supreme Court's decision in the New York case, because that was, again, their attempt to try to go around it. The Supreme Court reversed. Alito found it clear that the Hawaii law fell within the plain text of the Second Amendment. The key question before the court, in his view, was whether there was a history of similar regulation in early U.S. and English history. But neither Hawaii's assertion of a long history of antipathy to the private possession of firearms, nor its reliance on laws that prohibited unauthorized hunting of deer or small game on someone else's private property, support the current Hawaii law. The gap is just too wide, as Justice Alito said. He rejected the state's reliance on an 1865 Louisiana statute that made it unlawful for any person or persons to carry firearms on the premises or plantations of any citizens without the owner's consent. That law was neither widespread nor widely accepted, Alito contended, and in any event, that law was adopted to discriminate against formerly enslaved people in the wake of the Civil War. And I love that because Hawaii, a Democrat blue state, tried to defend its anti-gun law by using a law meant to discriminate against free slaves. Your Democrats are so cute.
It's real good.
Right?
Real good, yeah.
They're going back to their OG roots.
Like
their OG CSA roots, you know?
In keeping with Jim Crow laws, we can do this. Like, I don't think that's working for you, bud.
I just would have loved to have heard the cross-examination. I'm sure one of the justices probably said it. Are you really using this law that was intended to discriminate against freed slaves to justify this gun ban in Hawaii? Are you really playing that?
I'm just a simple Supreme Court justice. I don't remember this law, but it says 1867. Was there something happening in Louisiana post 1865 that I should know about? I wonder why this law would have been written.
So if a person
anyone
goes on private property in Louisiana and doesn't have the explicit written consent of the owner to carry their firearm, back in Louisiana, a pretty gun-friendly place, maybe, just maybe, they were thinking it would affect a person who was black, because otherwise in Louisiana, pretty much everybody's walking around with guns all the time. So kind of feel like maybe that was just singling out a certain group of people. Am I wrong on that point? And so we all understand you're using that as the basis of your defense of this law in Hawaii. Was a law meant to discriminate against freed slaves who have guns? Okay.
Also, the same people that wrote that law would tell you that, you can't, it's so long ago. These people couldn't have envisioned the world with the internet and with that. You can't get these historical references. It doesn't matter. And they're like, 1865. There was a law just like this one. They're more than happy to find it if they need it.
Your Honor, there's clearly precedent for this. In 1865, they discriminated against a whole bunch of people who were black for having guns. So why can't we do it to everybody?
We just want to take their law and remove the racism part of it. The law worked, right? It was
same law, less racism. What's the problem, Judge?
Somebody had to prep to make that argument for the Supreme Court. You know, they were just like, "Oh, it's so dumb. This is gonna be so terrible." So happy to be here today.
You sent in Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny to make the argument.
Yes.
Same freaking law, but this time it applies to everybody, not just the blacks. What? What?
I love it. It's like, no, we took out the black thing. It's fine. Why you give me a work at? It's fine.
Right, we corrected the problem. The problem was at the time was just meant for black people. Now it's meant for everybody, okay? Look, I rest my case. Sits down.
We crossed it out. What more do you want? It's fine.
We're good. No, I'm good. No further questions, Your Honor. Defense rests. It's not a criminal case. That's not how this works.
He just got up there and said, "No, we took out the racist part." Any further questions? Please direct it in mail to the State Attorney General. Thanks,
Mr. Gambini. We have more questions for you.
It's ridiculous.
One more thing, Your Honor. Yeah, so back then, that guy over there, he couldn't get a gun in Louisiana. But now none of you people can. All right, let me sit down now. Everybody's looking at Clarence Thomas like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that broad, too.
Hey, Alito, you one of us, right? You know us? Alito? Huh? Alito? Scalia, he was one of us. I assume we're fine.
Come on, we're together on this, right?
We're good.
All right? All right, that's the show. We got to get out of here. But listen, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please like the show. And please tell a friend. You are helping us grow every day. Write a review if you would. We'd appreciate it very, very much. And find the Rich Zeoli podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for listening.
Better than those libtards that canceled on us.